Dear friends, there came a time in the history of the world when water began to gush from every corner of the earth, the gates of the sky opened, the mountains began to sink, and humanity stood on the brink of extinction. The waves of the blood raged wildly, the air was filled with fear, screams, and darkness. But amidst all of this, there stood one of God's chosen prophets, Prophet Noah, peace be upon him. A prophet who called his people toward God for 950 years, showing them the path of faith, oneness, and salvation. Yet, sadly, in all that long time, only 80 or 82 people believed in him. The rest remained firm in their arrogance, denial, and disobedience, and when oppression on earth crossed all limits, the command of God came, "O Noah, build the ark, for my punishment is about to descend." That ark, the vessel that carried the survival of all humanity. But dear friends, hidden within that event was also a secret, a moment when Satan tried to use a trick to board Noah's ark. What was that trick? And what promise did the snake and the scorpion make to Prophet Noah, peace be upon him? All of this, and much more, you will learn in today's story, where we'll tell you the complete account of Prophet Noah, peace be upon him. A story that is not just a tale of the past, but a living lesson for every human being today. Dear friends, first you should know that according to various traditions, Prophet Noah's real name was Shakir, Sakan, or Abdul Ghaffar, but he was called Noah because he would weep greatly out of fear of God and sorrow for his people's misguidance. Whenever he saw his people drowned in disbelief and sin, tears would flow from his eyes without control. That is why his title became Noah, because in Arabic, Nuh means the one who weeps abundantly. He is also known as the second, Adam, because after his time, God began a new chapter for humankind, as if life started anew after the great destruction. In the Holy Quran, Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, is mentioned 73 times, and he is one of the 5 great prophets of determination whom God blessed with extraordinary patience, endurance, and resolve. His lineage traces back to Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, in the 8th generation. His father's name was Lamech, and his grandfather was Methuselah, who himself was the son of Prophet Enoch, peace be upon him. His homeland was in the region that is now Iraq, and he lived north of Mosul, near the border of Armenia. According to some historians, his people were known as the Bani Rasib, or the people of Noah, a nation deeply lost in idol worship, polytheism, and materialism. Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, was the first prophet after Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, to be granted both prophethood and divine law. And when this great responsibility was given to him, he was 40 years old. At that age, he began calling his people to the oneness of God and to serve him alone. Dear friends, before the prophethood of Noah, peace be upon him, people on earth had abandoned the worship of God. But this did not happen all at once. In the beginning, people were believers, righteous and devoted to God. During those days, there were a few pious and noble men who spent their entire lives calling others toward goodness, justice, and the worship of the one true God. Their names were Wad, Suah, Yaguth, Yauk, and Nasr. These 5 men were known far and wide for their faith and righteousness. As long as they lived, faith and goodness continued to exist among the people. But when these elders passed away, Satan saw his chance. He whispered into the hearts of the people, "These men were a source of blessing for you. Keep their memory alive. Build markers over their graves so that they are never forgotten." The people did exactly that. They built symbols over the graves. Time passed, generations changed, and the new people began to say, "These were our holy men. Because of them, the rain would fall, the crops would grow, and our troubles would fade." Then Satan cast another whisper, "If you keep their images and statues in your homes, their blessings will always remain with you." And so, idols began to be made. Slowly, those idols turned into gods. People started praying to them, offering sacrifices in their names, and seeking their help and mercy. Dear friends, that was the very moment when idolatry began on earth. And those same 5 names, Wad, Suwa, Yaguth, Ya'uk, and Nasr, are mentioned in the Holy Quran as well. When the world was covered in spiritual darkness and there was no one left to remember God, God chose Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, and sent him as his messenger to call people once again to the worship of the one true God and to rekindle the light of faith in the midst of that deep darkness of polytheism. Dear friends, the story of Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, is mentioned many times throughout the Holy Quran, and there is even a complete chapter named Surah Nuh after him. It is in that chapter where the pain, patience, and tireless struggle of a prophet for his people are described in moving detail. Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, called his people to God, day and night, in private and in public. Sometimes he stood before crowds and called them openly. Sometimes he knocked gently on doors to speak to individuals. Sometimes he spoke with love and kindness. Sometimes he warned of God's punishment, and sometimes he gave glad tidings of paradise. But his message was always the same. O my people, worship God alone, fear him, and place your hope in him, for he alone is your Lord, and he alone is the one who provides for you. Yet sadly, Satan had already poisoned their hearts. He blocked the voice of truth from reaching their ears. Whenever the true prophet spoke to them, they would cover their faces with their cloaks, block their ears with their fingers, and angrily declare, "We don't want to hear you. You are only a man like us. What do you know about the unseen?" Dear friends, think about it. Not for a year or two, but for 950 years, Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, pleaded, invited, prayed, and wept for his people. Yet only 80 or 82 people came to faith, those few whose hearts still carried a faint spark of light. The rest of the nation remained lost in darkness, and Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, spent his days and nights deeply worried for his people, and he would plead with God, saying, "O my Lord, guide my people, for they do not understand. They are lost in darkness." But when every door to guidance had closed, God withheld his mercy from the heavens and the earth. The soil lost its fertility, the rain stopped falling, the trees withered, women became barren, and the livestock began to die. All hope for life began to fade, yet the people remained stubborn in their defiance. Then Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, said to them, "Seek forgiveness from your Lord. Indeed, he is the most forgiving." And dear listeners, in that same chapter of Noah, Surah Nuh, God declares, "If you seek forgiveness, he will send down rain from the sky in abundance. He will bless you with wealth and children, and he will bring your gardens and rivers back to life." But still, the people of Noah rejected the truth. They mocked their prophet and continued to follow the whispers of Satan, sinking deeper into misguidance. They laughed at the prophet of God, hurled insults at him, threw stones at him, and many times they beat him until he fell unconscious. At times, they even thought he was dead and wrapped him in cloth. But when he regained consciousness, the same prayer would return to his lips, "O my Lord, forgive my people, for they do not know." The hearts of Noah's people had grown so hard that when a father was on his deathbed, he would advise his children, "Noah is a madman from the old times. Never believe what he says." And the leaders of the people would warn everyone, "Beware, never abandon the worship of your gods, Wad, Suwa, Yaguth, Ya'uk, and Nasr." Throughout his entire life, Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, continued to guide his people with gentleness, reason, love, and patience, saying, "O my people, fear the punishment of God and turn back to him. That alone is your salvation." But his words only touched a few hearts. Even after 950 years of continuous preaching, only 80 or 82 people came to believe. Just think about it. In such a long lifetime, only a handful of believers. Such was the misfortune of a nation who had a prophet among them, yet the doors of their hearts remained shut. Finally, God comforted his prophet with these words, "O Noah, none will believe now except those who have already believed." And then, after centuries of patience and suffering, from the lips of Noah, peace be upon him, came a prayer that shook the heavens and the earth. "O my Lord, destroy this people, for they have denied the truth and turned away from your mercy." And so, dear friends, when Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, had fulfilled his duty with endless patience and compassion, God commanded his prophet, "O Noah, build the ark under our watchful eye and command." Noah, peace be upon him, immediately obeyed. The first thing he did was plant teak trees, a wood strong, durable and resistant to water. Those trees took a full 100 years to grow, and when they had become tall and strong, Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, began building the ark from their wood. But this was no ordinary vessel. It was a magnificent, miraculous ark of salvation, built by the command of God himself. According to traditions, its length was 80 yards, its width 50 yards, and it had 3 levels. The lowest deck was for the wild beasts, birds, and insects. The middle deck housed the livestock, cows, goats, and other animals. And on the upper deck, Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, himself and the believers who had faith in God were seated. Dear friends, this was no simple construction. This ark was the result of a century of effort, faith and unwavering trust in God, day and night. Noah, peace be upon him, and his few faithful companions worked tirelessly, cutting wood, shaping planks, joining them together, and completing the ark while constantly reciting the name of God. But what about his people? Each day they came back, and with new jokes, new mockery, and new insults. Some laughed and said, "O Noah, have you become a carpenter instead of a prophet now?" Others sneered, "A ship on dry land. Have you lost your mind?" And some taunted, "What kind of foolish show is this, Noah? Aren't you ashamed?" The faces of the people were filled with laughter, but the face of Noah, peace be upon him, was filled with certainty and faith. He neither grew angry nor lost hope. He simply replied, "Today you laugh at us, but tomorrow we will laugh at you when God's punishment descends upon you." And so it was. As the laughter of the people grew louder, the Ark of Noah grew closer to completion, and the day approached, the day that God had promised. Dear friends, at last the day came that God had promised. That terrible flood, which had weighed on Prophet Noah's, peace be upon him, heart for years, was now about to become reality. The gates of the sky opened, springs burst from the belly of the earth, the clouds seemed to pour down fire, and before anyone could grasp it, water spread in every direction. Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, by God's command, boarded the ark he had built with pairs of every creature, wild beasts, domesticated animals, birds, and creeping insects of the earth, each male and female, so that after the flood, the lines of generations would continue. Then his 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and their wives boarded the ark. Also on board were the 80 or 82 believing men and women who had accepted God. In other words, those who had believed in the prophet and were saved. But friends, there came a moment that rips the heart. From Prophet Noah's, peace be upon him, own household, from his own blood, 2 faces remained outside the ark. One was his wife, Wahilah, who had not believed, and the other was his son Canaan. Both had rejected God's message. Prophet Noah's, peace be upon him, wife was Wahilah. This unfortunate woman had the honor of being married to a true prophet, and for years enjoyed the companionship of God's messenger. Yet her misfortune was that faith did not reach her. Instead, because of hostility, insult, and disrespect toward Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, she died in unbelief and entered hell. She continually spread false propaganda among her people, saying that Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, was insane and mad. So do not listen to him. Anyway, dear friends, amid the rising waters of the flood, Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, called to his son, "O my son, come aboard with us in the ark, for salvation is with God alone today. There is no shelter except by his leave." But Canaan replied proudly, "I will climb up upon the mountain. It will save me." It was as if a knife struck Noah's, peace be upon him, heart. He looked helplessly toward the sky. But at that moment, a great wave came and swallowed even the high peaks of the mountains, and Canaan was lost forever in the waters. God said, "O Noah, indeed he is not of your family, for his deed was not righteous. So ask not concerning that of which you have no knowledge." Thus Noah, peace be upon him, understood that faith is not a matter of blood or kinship. Faith is a bond that connects one to God. Dear friends, here is also an astonishing and instructive episode. When the time came to board the ark, suddenly two creatures appeared that would frighten an ordinary person, a snake and a scorpion. They came humbly to Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, and begged, "O prophet of God, allow us to board the ark as well. We promise that whoever utters Salamun ala Nuh fi al-alamin, peace be upon Noah among the worlds, we will never harm that person." Noah, peace be upon him, heard them, smiled, trusted in God's command and mercy, and granted them space on the ark. That scene was like living proof of God's mercy and wisdom, that this great ark sheltered not only humans and birds, but also creatures the world considered harmful. For in God's sight, every creature has its purpose and place. Dear friends, there is another very interesting thing recorded about Prophet Noah's, peace be upon him, ark in the books. And that is the incident of Satan boarding the ark. Yes, Satan too boarded Prophet Noah's, peace be upon him, ark. And there is a strange and remarkable story about it that you should know. Books relate that when Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, was building the ark, and by God's command, preparations were being made to bring all creatures aboard. One day he saw a donkey trying to get onto the ark, but unable to fit. The donkey's two front legs were inside the ark, but the rest of its body was still outside, struggling to come in. Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, thought perhaps it was being lazy or stubborn, so he sternly said, "Oh, Satan, you come in as well." The moment he said that, Satan clung to the donkey's tail and boarded the ark. Some have written that Satan was clinging to the donkey's legs, which is why the donkey could not pull itself up onto the ark. But when Noah, peace be upon him, called, he came immediately. It is also written that later he sat on the ark in the guise of a very weak old man. And Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, recognized him and asked, "You outcast, have you even come here to mislead people and thus boarded the ark?" In a very flattering and obsequious tone he said, "Sir, you yourself permitted me. I do not go anywhere without permission. When you said to the donkey, 'O Satan, come in,' I came in too." Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, became angry, subdued him and asked, "Now that you have boarded, I will not let you go until you tell me the secret by which you lead people astray." Satan replied, "I have 5 methods to mislead people, but I will tell you 3 of them." Hello, friends. It is written in the old books that Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, was told through divine revelation to ask that cursed one, Satan, to reveal 2 of his secrets, because those 2 were the most important ones. Satan said, "I did not wish to tell you, but since you have been commanded to ask, I will share them with you. In this world, I destroy more people through envy and greed than through anything else. Because of these 2, even the greatest of men lose their way and fall into the dark well of worldly blindness. Even I myself was destroyed by envy," he said. "It was envy that ruined me, and I swore to mislead mankind because of it. I envied Adam, peace be upon him, thinking, why was he created better than me? And because of that jealousy, God cast me out of his divine presence." So, my dear friends, this entire story carries a powerful lesson. Satan is the most accursed being, and ever since the beginning of creation, from the moment Adam, peace be upon him, was created and Satan was expelled from the divine court. He has been using every trick and deception to lead humans astray. The stories mentioned here have no completely verified source, but the lesson they hold is absolutely clear. Satan destroys humans through two forces, envy and greed. And understanding this is not difficult at all, because even in our own time, envy surrounds us everywhere. A person is not truly poor, yet because of envy, he believes himself to be so. He keeps comparing himself to those wealthier than him, and in doing so, the envy within him keeps growing, and from that envy comes greed, the endless desire to gather more and more wealth. Many people have ruined their lives this way. Though blessed with every gift from God, they still see themselves as deprived, always chasing after more. As a result, they destroy not only their worldly lives, but also their eternal lives to come. Anyway, friends, when the great flood of Noah finally ended, the ark came to rest upon Mount Judah. By God's command, the waters receded, and at that time, not a single living being was left on earth except those who had been aboard the ark with Prophet Noah, peace be upon him. That was the moment when a new life began. A new world was founded for Prophet Noah and the believers who were with him. When the ark's journey was over and they stepped onto the earth again, it was not only a new beginning, it was also a manifestation of God's mercy, blessing, and justice. God had saved his prophet and the faithful from the greatest calamity ever known. And through them, the rebuilding of humankind became possible. The descendants of those who were aboard Prophet Noah's ark repopulated the earth, and that is why he is called the second Adam, or the father of mankind once again. So this story should not be seen merely as a tale of destruction or punishment. It is also a symbol of God's mercy, his fairness, and the renewal of life itself. It teaches us that following God's guidance is the greatest blessing of all, and that even a small group of true believers, with God's help, can change the course of human history. Friends, the story of Noah, peace be upon him, is not found only in the Holy Quran. This story, my dear friends, is also found in the Torah, the Psalms, and the Bible. Beyond the historical records and religious traditions, even in modern times, many attempts have been made to uncover physical evidence of the ark. For example, in 2010, a group of Chinese Christian explorers and scientists announced that they had discovered the remains of Prophet Noah's ark, peace be upon him, beneath layers of ice and snow on Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey. According to them, this mountain stands about 12,000 feet high, and the structures they found appeared to belong to a massive, three-level wooden vessel. The team claimed that the ark had been preserved under several meters of ice, and that inside it they found large rooms, wooden pillars, and broken sections of the structure, though not completely destroyed, as the thick layer of ice had helped protect it over time. Their announcement drew global attention. Well-known international outlets like the Christian Science Monitor and National Geographic Channel reported on the findings, mentioning that in the past 2 centuries, dozens of expeditions have searched for remains identified as Noah's Ark. The Chinese and Turkish researchers said they had explored around 60 different sites, several of which showed traces of wood, rooms, and structural beams. According to them, the Ark had 3 decks and signs of spacious compartments inside. However, the location was extremely steep, icy, and dangerous, with temperatures dropping to minus 60 degrees, making further investigation nearly impossible. Yet, while some researchers gave weight to the claim, many American scientists and archaeologists dismissed it. They argued that the wood samples, when analyzed through forensic testing, were not ancient enough to be confidently dated back to the time of Prophet Noah, peace be upon him. Other experts suggested that the natural rock formations of the mountain sometimes take on ship-like shapes, leading to mistaken interpretations. In contrast, the Chinese team insisted that they were 99.9% certain Their discovery was indeed the ark built by Noah about 4,800 years ago. Under the command of God, Arab newspapers and other international media outlets also weighed in on the discovery. Some questioned the credibility of the findings, while others analyzed the arguments and references presented by the Chinese and Turkish teams. According to those teams, they had studied Quranic verses and historical traditions, which led them toward Mount Ararat, the same location where they observed ship-like structures in multiple areas. Over the past 20 years, many scientists and explorers have visited Mount Ararat. Some identified ship-shaped rock formations as possible remains of Noah's Ark, while others argued they were merely natural geological shapes or ancient man-made structures unrelated to the Ark. Several of the sites marked by the Chinese team lie in extremely steep and hazardous regions, making close examination both dangerous and difficult. The remains that were reportedly found appeared partially damaged, yet experts noted the existence of wooden beams, rooms and internal frameworks preserved, perhaps because of the deep layers of ice. Still, the Ark was not found intact, which is why it remains a historical mystery to this day. A mystery that continues to attract researchers and explorers from all over the world. My dear friends, in the end, it must be said that the life of Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, was a life of faith, endurance and sacrifice. He lived for 1,000 years and received prophethood at the age of 40. He spent 950 years guiding his people toward the message of God, enduring endless hardship and rejection. After the great flood, he lived for another 60 years before finally passing away. His tomb still exists in Lebanon, where people visit to remember his devotion and his extraordinary service to faith. Friends, this story teaches us that Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, devoted his entire existence to seeking the pleasure of God, striving to lead his people to truth. Even when faced with the harshest trials, his life stands as a timeless example of truth, patience and unwavering trust in God, and from it, we learn that embracing divine guidance and keeping faith in the Almighty is not only our duty, it is our salvation. Dear friends, this was the story of Prophet Noah, a story of faith, perseverance, and purpose. It is not merely a tale of the past, it remains a living lesson for all of humanity today. May God grant us the wisdom to learn from the lives of His prophets, protect us from idolatry and misguidance.